council. Pam, would you please take the roll?
Allison Osby.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Krause.
Here.
Mugrower.
Here.
Peschel. Palmieri.
Here.
Present 5.
So the one and only item on here for the agenda tonight is for process for selection of a new council member to provide staff with direction on process to review the applications and selection of new council member. City manager, would you like to kick it off?
I'll certainly try. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The City Attorney Lawrenson has forwarded you a memo, just kind of giving you a general background of how the process has gone in the past, and pretty much, soliciting applications, forwarding application materials of the applicants to council in the agenda packet, and then council receiving presentations. As of late, there was a request to have video presentations, and I think some things started to unravel because it didn't follow the normal process we were doing. So a lot of questions from different council members. The mayor and I chatted a little bit, and as did the city attorney and the city clerk and I, about getting some additional direction if there are some other things that council would like to do. But I think the city attorney's memo kind of lays out, based on things we've heard and based on things we've done in the past, how the process would go. And also the city clerk had sent out something soliciting the questions of the applicants who were going to be doing video presentations. So far, only one person has indicated an interest in doing a video presentation. The mayor provided us some questions that she offered up to give to that applicant. So we can send those out. We figured we'd wait. With this meeting, we figured we'd just wait because we originally were going to do it Friday, but figuring, a couple days wasn't going to hurt anything with only one person, and I think only 2 questions from Mayor Palmieri. So the memos here, we're certainly happy to answer any questions, but we just want to make sure that we're following what your wishes are collectively, because individually we've gotten some interesting feedback, but sometimes we want to make sure that we're following all of council's direction on this matter. So this is as personal as it is, because it's council picking council. You can't get, it totally is within your realm, and I think there are things in statutes that lay things out, but I think Lynn did a pretty good job of pretty much giving you the parameters under which you can work.
And I'll just say that the 2 questions that I submitted only came from the recent revisions that we had to the application for boards and commissions. It didn't, those were not reflected necessarily in the application for the vacant seat for council, and they just specifically relate to whether or not there are any potential conflicts of interest, and requesting, what other boards and commissions, either privately or governmentally, organizationally, someone might be part of. So, Pam, would you like to maybe run through the timeline that you put together, and perhaps council can weigh in as they have questions?
Okay, the timeline that was laid out, May 1st, I gave you the names of the applicants that had requested a video presentation. May 3rd was the deadline to get questions to me for those individuals, and as you indicated, I did receive yours with the 2 questions. May 9th at 10 a.m. is the deadline for applicants to get their applications into my office. At 10:01, I will release the names, and then on May 10th, the applications will come to the council members. And then the deadline for the video presentation is the 13th by 4:30. And then that will be ready to be presented with the other presentations on the 14th.
Okay. Council, would you entertain further discussion on this? Councilmember Allison Osby.
Thank you, Mayor. So when I had called into City Hall, and this is where I just think, because I don't know what conversations or what questions may have come from other council members or the public as well, but perhaps Pam can explain what she explained to me, because my question was, typically, like, when we take out nomination papers for council or mayor, you're able to find out who that is, before, the deadline of turning the signatures back in. And so that was, my question was, I was assuming that we would be able to know the names of those that applied as they came in. And so Ms. Huberg and I had a fun conversation, and she did eloquently explain why it is. And then my question was, council, in my humble opinion, should know before the public knows. And so she also had a very, very good response to that as well. So Pam, would you mind sharing our conversation?
How I viewed it was in December, when individuals take out nomination papers, they're out circulating those, you file that in January. Those names go on a ballot, and the people, our citizens are voting for those individuals to serve on the council. When I look at this process, it's applications being turned into us, and I look at them as finalists until the deadline, and then you, as the panel, will make your selection for that individual.
If I can just jump
Yep.
in as well. I think that the difference here, this is the council picking a seat, so it's public business, and generally, the presumption is you conduct all public business in open unless there's a reason not to. With the applications, if we release the applications to the council, we release them then to the public as well, it really would give an advantage to somebody to, hey, I'm gonna hold my application till the end, and I can look at what anyone else may have already submitted, and I'll tailor my application so I look a little better than the ones that have been submitted before. It really gives a little bit of that unfair advantage that, or potential for that anyway. So, and then I think we've even had at least one withdraw. So until the deadline, they really aren't committed to it.
And then that was then my question to say, well, technically, when it comes to City Hall, it's public record. So when it becomes public record, then why can't council know? Which, and then Pam had shared.
There's a procedural process and then a policy process. And I look at this as a procedure where it doesn't meet that threshold that it becomes a public record until that deadline of 10 o'clock on Thursday, May 9th.
Well, what you had said was that if media called, that you would respond in the same manner, that it would not be released until 10:01
That is correct.
on the 9th.
Correct.
I think one of the things that's a little bit difficult in this process, and Pam and I had talked about it, was, two of the applicants found on social media because they were already out there on social media. So without even going through any processes, and I think, I don't know how do we fix that? I don't know that we can. We kind of threw out there, just recently, what would it look like instead of doing an appointment process to do a special election? But then at the end of the day, talking to Pam, that would only make the process go much longer than already. So again, I think it's just, this for whatever reason, I've been through this process twice before, and for some reason, this one just seems a little bit different. Not sure why, and I think that's kind of what led to this, was just, I think there was a number of questions, I think, floating among council members. So I do appreciate the meeting to kind of clarify, not only for us, but for the public as well.
Well, we, as staff, we have the benefit, we're here, we can, call impromptu meetings, we can have this discussion. Council doesn't have that luxury. And when the mayor and I talked about it, I think after all was said and done, it's like, it probably can't hurt to get the council together for a brief time to discuss what you want. And that's why we laid out how in the past we've done the selection process. So if there's any questions, you can get those worked out now prior to Tuesday, and then you'll know what kind of process you're going to follow once you've heard from all the candidates.
Councilmember Murao.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I had a very similar conversation with City Clerk Uberg, the same one that fellow Councilmember Allison Osby had regarding the release of those names, because to me, the moment they're turned in, they're a public record. And we had that conversation, and I appreciate you running all the information down and getting back to me. I still disagree with the assessment, and I'll do that politely, and that's fine. We're a little late into the game to put any wrenches into the wheels at this moment and change anything. And that's on me. I will take ownership for my assumption during the process early on, first meeting in April, that I assumed those names, and those names would be released just like they would be in December, as Deb mentioned. I was under that same assumption. Going forward, shortly after we appoint someone, I would much like to have this as a council direction to city staff, so we can maybe tweak the process a little bit for if there is a occurrence in the future, if we can give, maybe if we can have that discussion, and if we think there's a better way, or just some small tweaks, because I think in this process, I think there's one or two little things that we can put in our own policy that might alleviate any questions in the future, hopefully. As for Tuesday night, I think one of my questions is where in the document, or where in the agenda for Tuesday night are we going to put this? Is it right at the top? So that person is then voting on those things Tuesday night, and that will be one of my questions, how well they are informed for Tuesday night, because they're going to sit up here and then place a vote if they're being put on the council right at the top.
We have a procedure that we followed. It goes through a lot of paper, but we give every candidate a copy of the agenda, because if they get seated that night, we want to make sure that they can hit the ground running. So they're going to get a full agenda packet, just like every council member. Think back when you were first elected, I think we gave you an agenda for the meeting prior to you being seated, just to kind of get you used to the process. Pam, is that pretty much?
Yes, it's early in the agenda, and once the presentations are done and you make your selection, I will swear them in, and they will take their seat and be part of the council.
The remainder. Councilmember Crowley?
I just kind of wanted to agree with the people that have talked already. I'm a little disappointed in the process too. I would have liked to get the names as they came in. That was one of the things I was excited to hear. And I think a lot of times the people are encouraged as well if somebody applies and maybe they don't agree with them politically. So that would encourage more people to apply. And I think, I mean, it'd be awesome if we got 20 people to apply. So I just think it would give the best product on that night of the selection of people that we can pick from. So hopefully going forward, next time if this happens again, we can figure out a way to get the names ahead of time too.
I guess then, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll say something.
Deputy Mayor Herman.
Thank you. This is my fourth go-around on this, and I think what threw a wrench in the process was allowing the video. I really do think that was maybe, that changed what had worked very well the last 3 times that I was allowed to appoint someone. I do agree that it's gotten a little more out there. I mean, it used to be an application. Now there's reference to a cover letter, and there's reference to having additional information, and I don't know that that's where that's all coming from, because I don't believe that's in our policy.
It's in the 2-5,
Is it?
the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance, but the prior councils have accepted the application as the.
As is.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Because I just remember getting, the only, if there's one little quirk, I guess, is you're gonna not get it to us till our Friday packet, right? But yet, we're gonna know the names 2 or 3 days ahead of time, correct?
I will release the names at 10:01 on the 9th.
So then, shouldn't we get the applications right then and there, so that we have as much time to review them?
We can electronically forward it at that time. That's,
Yeah, I just think, again, and we've had this discussion many a time where we don't get the information on Friday and you want a decision on Tuesday.
Okay.
And, over the weekend, not everybody stays home and reads their stuff. You get kids, you get family, you got activities. So sometimes I think when it's a really serious issue, the sooner we get it, the better, so we have a few days to digest. Not only this is obviously very important because it's a council position that we're appointing, and it is appointing a fellow colleague. But as we've said on other issues at times too, and you've done a much better job with that, so I won't go there, that's not on the
this is,
agenda tonight.
because of the uniqueness of this, there's no reason we can't do it. Pam's going to be scanning this stuff, so we'll have this, with the scanning capability, we can give it to you right away. In the past.
Yeah,
we
because this
didn't
kind of goes
necessarily
back
have
to
that.
what Councilmember Allison Osby said, you know, in a sense that we're not going to get it till later. The minute the clerk releases it, you know that the media is going to pick up on it, and they're going to have it before we get it.
Yeah.
And especially if you wait 2 or 3 days to get it to us, other than the names.
Yeah. And as somebody said, some applicants have already gone out in social
Gone out on
media. It
social
said-
media that they're putting it out there and hoping that, you know, because do we know? We might start getting phone calls saying, we'd really like to see so-and-so who applied be appointed. We don't have that information yet.
Well, it's-
Councilmember Allison Osby.
So just a question I have. So if somebody applies, is there like a guideline or instructions or anything or do's or don'ts when they get the application?
For the applicant themselves, no, we pretty much use the advertisement, the press release that we use, and so I think that's where some of the questions came up about the resume and things like that. Some people submit resumes, some people don't. It's really up to them.
Yeah.
We haven't used that to excuse me, exclude anybody. We haven't said, well, you don't have your resume. It's not, it's kind of a hybrid. You know, there is obviously the policy part of the process, but the application part of the process, yeah, if it was an applicant for a position, a job with the city, we have certain guidelines that you have to follow. If you don't follow those guidelines, you get taken out. We haven't used that. If somebody applies, whether it's an application or an application and a resume, and they can give us a whole portfolio. If that's what they want to submit, we just forward it to council and allow you to sort that out.
Well, I was just kind of curious because to Mr. Mugarauer's point, you know, probably once we're post this process, maybe giving direction back to staff. Obviously, it's not going to happen for a while, but, you know, looking into the future, what are things going to look like? And, you know, with social media, and is somebody going to ask to live video conference in? Or, you know, kind of like the situation with a video or those types of things. So I think we need to kind of look ahead as to what possibly could happen, so we're a little bit more proactive. And I'll be honest, I take full responsibility because we've known since the first week of January, there was a 50-50 chance that there was going to be a seat open. I certainly wasn't, you know, anticipating any challenges or any hiccups or anything like that. That would be different than the 2 other times that I was allowed to be part of the process. So I just think, you know, with social media, you know, and maybe it wouldn't hurt to maybe have some things that I don't know, you know, you don't want to put policies or things that an applicant can't do, but maybe recommendations of what to do or to stay away from. Because again, with them, you know, getting out on social media, technically that does possibly give somebody an edge up if that's kind of the argument as to why we can't have the names ahead of time. So I think just probably a thorough thought process so that the next time it happens, it goes super smooth.
Councilmember Krause?
I think the social media part of it, I mean, anybody can be on Facebook or Twitter, so I mean, they all have a level playing field. You know, I mean, some people are known, some people are unknown. But my question was, how many applications have we received so far? Approximately 7?
Approximately 7, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had somebody withdraw already, so that's one of the other things, waiting until the final cut before we, the final deadline, because if somebody withdraws. Under an application process, we respect that, we don't disclose that. But once they hit that deadline, they're finalists, they're automatically finalists, and they become part of the public record.
So I'll just, I guess, read through what we've been provided just for the expectation of what will happen on the 14th. So our applicants will make the brief presentation with questions and answers to council. The video presentation also gets played at that time. Then there will be space for public comment and then council discussion. I'll solicit nominations from the pool. We'll close the nominations. City clerk will poll us, and we're to respond with the name of the applicant that we're casting the vote for. And then we have several scenarios after that, but majority vote is going to take 4 votes required So is there any other question that anyone would like clarified or comment? Councilmember Krause?
With presentations and questions, everybody will have a chance to present before any questions are asked? Or are they going to be asked questions right after their presentation? Because, I mean, it kind of gives an unfair advantage if people,
In the past, the questions have been asked as they've given their
Yeah.
presentations.
and does it go by alphabetical, who presents first, or order of application submission?
Random draw, like.
These are
December.
great
I-
questions. I mean, it's like,
I just want to let the people that are watching that are applying kind of know the process too.
Just like how the names are selected to go on the ballot, names will be drawn out,
Okay.
and that's how they will be listed.
And then with the nominations, more than 2 nominations can go forward at the same time? Like, we could have like 3 people submit a name on the first ballot, and then the top 2 would be the next round finalists if there's not a majority, and then everybody else is eliminated. So,
That's the way it's been proposed based on what's happened in
so
the
if one of us
past.
have an individual that we really like, to make sure that at least they have a vote on that person, you want to be nominated in the first round, even if there's 4 people nominated in that first round. Correct?
you could do that,
Okay. So I just want to make sure everybody gets their chance to nominate
yeah.
the individual that shines in their mind.
Yeah, we walked through a couple scenarios, and that's certainly, that, welcome whatever scenarios that maybe we didn't think of, but, let's say 3 candidates were brought forward from the pool of applicants, and you get a 2-2-2. Well, that's a tie that we have to figure out how to break that. You may have to re-vote, or if it was 3-3, you'd have to re-vote, similar to what happened with the deputy mayor. If it was 2-2-1-1, then the assumption would be that the 2 individuals that received 1 would get thrown out, then you'd be down to 2. But I think that's going to be that's what we're assuming. Give me another scenario, and I guess that would be, try to help you walk through that scenarios.
If it was a 3-3 in the first round, then can we all vote again, or is everybody else still eliminated, or can we like redo the whole thing and start over?
We could restart the nomination process if necessary.
Because I'm hoping there's more than 2 good candidates, so I mean.
That, we put that
multiples.
down, the last bullet, in the event of a tie or other failure to obtain a majority, council may decide to revote or to restart the nomination process. That's really going to be up to you.
Councilmember Allison Osby?
So when we go through the nomination process, we can only nominate 1, or can we nominate more than 1?
Individually, you're saying, right?
Yeah, like, so I, as a council member, can I nominate 1, or can I nominate 2?
Yeah, under Robert's Rules of Order, you can nominate 1, everybody has a turn, then you can nominate a second person if you choose.
And if you'd like to do that, we can add that to the rules. But I would suggest adding, if you have things like that,
So if there's 2
add them
that-
to the rules right away so that you know when it's included.
So that
for
goes back to Councilmember Krause's comment. If there's somebody you really want to nominate, and you nominate someone else, but now you think there's someone else, after everybody's gone through it, you can
That's-
do
yeah.
a second nomination.
So I
That's
could
kind of what
call-
happened. I looked it up after Councilmember Peschel did that on the mayor's thing to make sure that that was a Robert's Rule. And under Robert's Rules of Order, you get 1 vote first, or 1 nomination as a group, and then you can nominate a second person
If that person isn't
nominated by
another-
someone else.
Okay.
Correct.
So we would have a second round of calling for
Potentially,
nominations.
you could have, potentially, yes.
Again, this is something that you as a council can decide how you, and that's part of the reason
That's what it sounds like you're
we
asking.
laid it out for today, that if you want us to include something in relation to that, that every council member may only nominate 1, or council members may nominate more than 1 person, we can include that for Tuesday if we get direction from,
But he can't do it at the same time. He can't say, I want to nominate X and Y, and then it's, say, the mayor's turn.
Yeah, we don't formally recognize Robert's Rules of Order, so I think what the city attorney's trying to say is, if that's what you want to do, because at least it's something you can look at, if you want to suggest that, we'll put it on there, just tell us to put it on, and we'll have it laid out for you, so you'll have the whole scenario worked out. We're trying to figure that out, but what you're saying is.
Yeah, I think it's fair that there's 6 of us, all 6 of us can make a nomination if we choose to. If
If a
the
council
mayor
member
then
wishes-
says, is there any other nominations? Then if the person wants to do a second opportunity, I guess that would all
So-
be allowed.
Are we all okay with giving that direction to
Yes.
staff, that we
Yeah.
want at least 2 rounds of nominations?
Sure.
Well, we can
Well, I
have
think
up to
the-
6.
Up to.
What I would suggest
Up
is,
to.
any council member may make a nomination. If a council member wishes to make more than one nomination, that person has to wait until all the council members
Correct.
have provided had an opportunity to provide a nominee. 'Cause
That's right.
You may find yourselves, if you're getting up to, there's 7 people so far, if all 7 or I guess, if 6 people are nominated, do you want to go any farther? Practicality will kick in
Right,
for all of you
right.
to decide that.
But that's what I'm saying, I think till, we could do that, but I think everybody gets first crack at it, and then we can do a second round.
Are the nominations going to require a second, or is it kind of like the deputy mayor where you don't need a second?
I think we were anticipating no second, just because that's what you do for, we were trying to get it to
Flow
as
like the
closely,
deputy mayor.
Yeah.
as flow as close to the deputy mayor as possible. It's a process you're familiar with.
Okay.
All right, sounds like we have clarity on that. Take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
We're
Aye.
adjourned.